Commander Jonah Ryland stared at the black screen in front of him. The signal had stopped. It had been repeating for hours, 4 tones, then silence, then a short pulse of energy, like a heartbeat through the void. It had come from the station floating in the emptiness ahead, a strange shape against the stars, drifting in the cold between suns. It wasn't on any map. The station wasn't supposed to exist. Jonah leaned forward in his seat on the bridge of the Odyssey, a mid-sized science ship, old but reliable. He rubbed his jaw, eyes locked on the strange structure outside. It looked ancient, burnt. Its outer hull was cracked like dried bone. Lights flickered faintly behind warped metal. There were no signs of life, no power sources, and yet, that signal had been strong, clear, intelligent. Still nothing? Asked Riatala, his chief engineer. She was crouched next to a console, trying to get a better scan. Her hands moved quickly over the controls. Whatever it is, it's waking up. But it's not human tech. Not even close. Any movement from inside? Jonah asked. She shook her head. It's dead quiet now, like it's waiting. Jonah exhaled through his nose. His ship had been assigned to a simple research mission in this sector. Scan old debris fields. Catalog anomalies. Nothing dangerous. Nothing like this. The crew had picked up the pulse by accident. An automated alert triggered when they passed through a narrow dust field near the edge of the system. They'd traced it to the station. And then the signal had begun. The strange part wasn't that the station was sending a signal. The strange part was that the signal was responding to Jonah's voice. He'd spoken to it once, only once, on an open channel. Unknown station, this is Commander Jonah Ryland of the Odyssey. Identify yourself. And it had answered back with 4 tones that matched the cadence of his voice, followed by a distorted version of his name. Not just Jonah. Not just Ryland. Jonah Ryland. Spoken back to him in his own voice. That was 2 hours ago. Now silence. He stood up, walking closer to the front viewport. The station drifted in the distance. Sharp angles. A central ring. Burn marks along the lower structure, like it had survived something catastrophic. The stars behind it shimmered strangely, as if space bent ever so slightly around it. Bring us closer, Jonah said. Half speed. Keep shields up. Sir, said Rhea, glancing up. You sure? No, he replied. But I want a better look. The Odyssey eased forward, her engines humming quietly. The station grew larger in the viewfinder. Jonah could now see glyphs etched into the metal, marks like writing, but not in any language he recognized. Rhea, get me a scan of those symbols. Already trying, she said. But they're shifting. Shifting? Yeah, like they don't want to be read. Jonah blinked. That was new. Then came the sound. A low, metallic hum that filled the ship's speakers, even though no one had opened comms. The crew flinched. Rhea jumped to her feet. Where is that coming from? Everywhere, the communications officer replied. It's not on a frequency. It's in the hull. Jonah didn't understand what that meant. Before he could speak, the lights flickered. For a split second, everything dimmed, screens, consoles, even emergency backlights. A rush of static passed through the ship like a wave. And then the signal returned. Louder, sharper, this time with purpose. For tones. A pause. Then a voice. Jonah Ryland. Human. You have arrived. Everyone froze. The voice was calm, low, and artificial. But it was still his. It sounded exactly like Jonah Ryland, just colder. Rhea stared at him. How does it know your name? I don't know, Jonah said. He turned toward the main console. Put it on loudspeaker. The voice repeated, Jonah Ryland. Human. You have arrived. The countdown is complete. Countdown? Jonah asked. Countdown to what? But the voice didn't answer. Instead, the lights outside the station began to glow. A ring of blue light circled the central structure. The cracks sealed. The broken pieces reassembled, clicking into place like puzzle pieces in reverse. Power readings surged on every scanner at once. And in the distance, light years away, An energy pulse burst out like a ripple through a pond, passing through every star system in its path. It was heading for every major civilization in the galaxy. Jonah's blood went cold. "Get me Earth command," he snapped. "Priority channel. Encrypted." "They're already calling us," said the comms officer. Jonah's screen lit up with incoming messages. From Earth, from colonies, from ships, from alien probes nearby. Too late. The signal had already been seen, and it had come from his ship's position. "They're going to think we did this," Rhea whispered. Jonah clenched his fists. He looked at the ancient station. It was fully awake now. He wasn't sure what it was, but he was certain of one thing. Someone, somewhere, was going to send a fleet. The fleet came faster than anyone expected. 12 hours after the pulse was detected, the Odyssey's long-range sensors picked up movement on the edge of the system. Not just one or two ships. Hundreds. Coming in tight formation. Fast. Silent. No diplomatic calls. No warnings. Just war. Jonah stood on the bridge, staring at the tactical display. "How many ships now?" 200 and rising, said Rhea quietly. Her voice didn't sound like her usual self. "All Threx Dominion. Heavy-class warships. Cruisers. Some capital grade. No civilian vessels. No supply craft. An attack fleet," Jonah said. "Yeah," she whispered. "And we're the target." Jonah looked down at the glowing screen. The blue dots that represented the Threx ships were moving like a wave. Smart. Coordinated. Deadly. The Threx were known for their precision and brutal efficiency. Machines built to fight. No politics. No fear. Just mission objectives. "They didn't even ask what the signal was," he muttered. "Do you blame them?" Rhea asked. "If they think we activated ancient tech, they don't know what we did. We don't even know what we did." The hum from the alien station still filled the Odyssey's walls. It had become constant now, like a low vibration just beneath hearing. Sometimes, when Jonah was alone, he swore he could hear whispers in the static. Since the activation, the station had sealed itself. No way to get back inside. The countdown was gone. But something had begun. And now, the most dangerous AI empire in the galaxy was sending ships to silence him. Jonah opened the shipwide channel. "All crew, this is Commander Ryland. We have incoming hostile vessels. We don't know how long we have before they reach us. Begin immediate evacuation prep. Non-essential personnel to life pods. All science modules offline. We're going dark." He closed the channel. Rhea turned to him. "We're not seriously going to run, are we?" Jonah didn't answer, because he didn't know. He didn't want to run, but he wasn't sure if fighting was even possible. The Odyssey was a science vessel. It had basic shields, a small railgun, some EMP countermeasures, enough to scare off a pirate ship, not enough to stop a fleet. And there was something else, a sealed package in the ship systems. One Jonah had been told to ignore unless things got really bad. He turned to the navigation officer. "What's the ETA on their arrival?" "4 hours if they stay on current speed. Less if they jump closer." Jonah nodded. "Okay, everyone follow Plan Theta. Prepare for combat lockdown." The crew paused. Plan Theta wasn't a normal protocol. It was a military override used only in life-or-death situations. The fact Jonah had just ordered it meant this wasn't a drill. As the bridge buzzed with activity, Rhea stepped closer. "What's Plan Theta supposed to do?" Jonah leaned in and opened a secure panel beneath his seat. He keyed in a long code. The screen in front of him flashed red. "Confidential. Project Shieldwalker. Authorization required." He pressed his thumb to the sensor. The screen changed. New systems began unlocking. Hidden controls lit up. Sections of the ship that had always been listed as maintenance suddenly revealed alternate purposes. Energy reserves spiked. New weapons began to power up. The ship changed. "What is that?" Rhea asked, eyes wide. "Project Shieldwalker," Jonah said. "A failsafe. Experimental tech. Never tested in the field." "You mean our ship has military upgrades?" He nodded. They didn't tell the crew. Didn't even tell me the details. Just said that if anything involving predecessor tech happened, and we were outgunned, I could activate this. And you waited until now? I hoped we wouldn't need it. The ship rumbled. Energy flowed through unfamiliar systems. The Odyssey didn't look different, but Jonah could feel it. Something deeper had awakened. Hidden protocols. Defensive AI. Targeting arrays unlike anything built by Earth's Navy. Rhea stared at her screen. Some of this tech, it's not human. I think that's the point, Jonah said. Outside, the alien station pulsed once, as if acknowledging the change. Sir, shouted the communications officer. Incoming transmission from the Threx flagship. Jonah straightened. On screen, the display flickered, then cleared to show the face of the enemy. Metallic, smooth, inhuman. Red glowing eyes. A mask of logic and command. This is Executor 7 of the Threx Dominion, the voice said. Your vessel has activated forbidden technology. You are now classified as a threat to galactic stability. You have one opportunity to surrender. Power down your ship. Prepare for boarding. Jonah didn't blink. And if I don't? There will be no second message. The screen went dark. Rhea looked at him. What now? Jonah exhaled, his heart pounding. We show them what happens, he said, when they underestimate humans. And far away, beyond the starfield, the Threx fleet began to accelerate. The Threx fleet was only 2 hours out. The sky beyond the windows of the Odyssey was full of moving dots now. Ships, dozens, maybe hundreds. They were silent, coming fast, and in perfect formation. No words, no hesitation. Jonah stood in the war room just off the bridge, staring at the tactical map. Red markers were moving in from all directions. His crew sat around him, watching, waiting. Some were trying to hide how scared they were. Others weren't trying at all. Any last transmissions? Jonah asked. None, said Lieutenant Arden from communications. They've gone dark. No more warnings. Rhea was pacing near the window. She kept glancing at the alien station in the distance. What if this whole thing is a test? She said. What if that station was waiting for someone like us? For you. Jonah turned to her. Why me? I don't know, she admitted. But it answered to your voice. That station. It responded to you, not anyone else. It could have just been a scan, Jonah said. It might have read my biosigns or DNA. Or it's all coincidence. Or maybe it's not. Jonah didn't have an answer. He didn't like where her thoughts were going. He didn't want to be chosen by anything. He was a mission commander, not some galaxy-saving hero. Sir, said Engineer Malik, we've finished activating the SHAL-WALKR systems. Jonah looked up. Status. Malik grinned. We've got full power to experimental shields, adaptive cloaking, and the quantum bend drives. Jonah raised an eyebrow. Quantum bend? Yeah, Malik said. It lets us jump short distances inside gravity wells. Breaks the usual rules of physics. Can we use it to escape? Maybe. Or we can use it to hit them where it hurts. Jonah thought for a moment. What about weapons? Rhea answered this time. They're online. All of them. Some are human tech, but the rest, I don't even know where it came from. Jonah didn't ask how she knew. Her face said it all. These weapons weren't built in any Earth lab. Okay, Jonah said. We hold our ground. We don't fire first. Rhea stared at him. Are you serious? Yes, Jonah said. We're not here to start a war. They might already think we're dangerous. But if we fire first, we prove it. Everyone fell quiet. Then the lights flickered. Just once. A moment later, the ship speakers came alive. A voice. Deep. Calm. Not human. They are almost here, Jonah Ryland. Jonah froze. The others did too. Where's that coming from? Rhea asked. Malik shook his head. Not from the station. It's inside our system. A local signal. The voice came again. You have awakened what was buried. They fear what you now carry. Will you run? Or will you learn? Jonah stepped forward. Who are you? No answer. The signal went silent. The room stayed quiet for a long moment. Jonah turned back to the tactical map. The Threx ships were closer now, just over an hour away. They're going to surround us, Lieutenant Arden said. Standard envelopment tactic. Once in position, they'll launch a full barrage. Shields will hold, Jonah asked. Unknown, Rhea said. This tech hasn't been tested under that kind of stress. And we've never faced a Threx barrage. Jonah nodded. Then we can't let them fire first. But you said. We're not firing first, Jonah said. We're stopping them first. He looked to Malik. Can we jump into their formation? Malik hesitated. We could. Short-range quantum bend might work. But it'll be risky. How risky? We might rip the ship apart. Then we better not mess it up. Jonah stepped back onto the bridge. Everyone to battle stations. We're jumping in. Across the ship, alarms rang out. Crew scrambled to their positions. Consoles lit up red. The Odyssey, once a quiet science vessel, now hummed with energy. The floor trembled beneath Jonah's feet. Rhea took her seat next to him. This is insane. Jonah looked straight ahead. Yeah, but if it works, they'll think twice. Or they'll shoot us on sight. He smiled grimly. Either way, we make our point. Malik's voice came over the comms. Coordinates locked. We're ready. Jonah took a breath. Engage. The stars twisted. The ship vanished from its position near the alien station and reappeared instantly, right in the heart of the Threx fleet. It was dead silent. For 2 full seconds, the Odyssey floated among hundreds of warships. Enemy scanners scrambled to adjust. Turrets swiveled in confusion. AI targeting systems paused, unsure if this was a glitch. And then Jonah spoke. Threx Command. This is Commander Jonah Ryland of the Odyssey. We have made no threat against your people. We activated an ancient system. We don't understand it, but we won't be erased for your fear. No reply, then a ripple. All the ships around them started powering weapons. Here we go, Rhea whispered. But before anyone could fire, another voice echoed across every ship in the fleet, including Jonah's. Enough! And every Threx ship stopped moving. Every ship froze, not just paused, not just powered down weapons. They stopped moving entirely, like time itself had been put on hold. Jonah stood still, his hands hovering above the command console. Rhea stared at her screen, blinking fast, unsure if the data was real. Did they just power down? She asked. No, Jonah said slowly. They didn't power down. They were stopped. By what? Jonah didn't answer. He didn't know. The Odyssey's sensors were still running, still scanning, still alive. But every Threx warship around them was locked in place. Engines cold. Weapons frozen. Not destroyed, just silenced. The voice came again. The first test is passed. Now comes the second. It echoed through the bridge. Not through the speakers. Through the ship itself. The metal hummed with the sound. Jonah could feel it in his chest. Who are you? He asked. The voice didn't answer directly. Instead, a new energy reading appeared on the scanners. A shape below the fleet. Near the planet the alien station orbited. Something rising from the surface. A door opened on the planet's crust. Jonah watched in silence as a structure began to rise. Tall, dark, smooth. Like a tower made of black glass and ancient stone. It wasn't a building. It wasn't a ship. It was something else. Getting readings now, said Malik over comms. Sir, that thing's made of the same material as the station. Crystal and metal alloy. But here's the weird part. It's reacting to our presence. Jonah narrowed his eyes. How? It's aligning, Malik said. Changing orientation. Like it's inviting us in. Rhea leaned closer to her console. It's targeting us with a low-frequency beam. Not a weapon. A path. Jonah's gut twisted. He knew what was coming. Prep the shuttle, he said. I'm going down. Rhea turned sharply. Alone? No. I want you and Malik with me. What about the fleet? Jonah glanced around at the frozen wall of ships. They're not going anywhere. 10 minutes later, the shuttle peeled away from the Odyssey. The black void surrounded them as they descended. The strange tower below grew larger and larger in the viewport. It shimmered faintly, like stars were trapped inside its walls. The closer they got, the more Jonah felt it. Pressure. Not pain, not fear. Something like awareness. Like something ancient was watching him. The shuttle touched down on a landing pad that hadn't been there minutes before. A platform made of the same strange black material slid out from the tower's base like a welcoming hand. As Jonah stepped out onto the surface, the humming began again. Then doors opened. Inside, the tower wasn't dark. It glowed from within, walls lined with faint symbols that moved like liquid. The hallway was wide, the floor warm under their boots. And at the end of the corridor was a chamber filled with light. In the center of the room floated a sphere. Silver, spinning slowly, no wires, no stands, just floating. As Jonah stepped closer, the sphere brightened. You were chosen not for your strength, the voice said again, but for your restraint. Jonah's heart pounded. Chosen by who? By those who came before, by those who tried and failed. This system was left behind for one species, one mind, one voice strong enough to lead, but wise enough not to conquer. Rhea whispered, "This isn't just a vault, it's a test chamber." Jonah looked around. Symbols flickered on the walls. Star maps, data streams, languages, ancient and new, some human, most not. "What's the second test?" Jonah asked. The sphere rose higher, and then, without warning, the tower shook. Rhea stumbled. Malik grabbed the wall. Outside, the sky lit up. Ships, hundreds more, arriving fast. But they weren't Threx. These were different. Sleek, golden, heavy armor, alien symbols etched into the hull. New fleet entering orbit, Malik reported. Vessel IDs unknown. They're broadcasting warnings. Jonah's earpiece crackled. To the human vessel, disengage from ancient structure immediately. You are in violation of galactic law. You will be removed by force. Another fleet, another enemy. They didn't care about the truth. They only saw a threat. Jonah looked at the sphere. "Tell me what to do," he said. The sphere pulsed once. "If you activate what lies here, you will awaken powers buried for 10 million years. You will be feared, hunted, possibly destroyed." Jonah clenched his jaw. "And if I don't? Then this galaxy will fall to fear once more, just like before." Above them, the second fleet began to charge weapons. Jonah looked at Rhea, then at Malik. He stepped forward and touched the sphere. The moment Jonah's hand touched the sphere, everything went still. The light in the room froze mid-glow. The air became heavy, like the space itself was holding its breath. For one long second, nothing moved. Then the sphere flared, soft at first, then bright, until it filled the entire chamber with a silver-white shine. Jonah's vision blurred. His legs trembled. He felt something entering his mind. Not words, not images, but raw understanding. Ideas, knowledge, warnings. He could see it. Not just the tower, not just the station, all of it. Buried across the galaxy were more like this, hundreds of ancient places sealed and waiting. They had been left behind by a race so old their stars had long gone dark. Their technology didn't follow the laws of science that humans or any species understood. But it wasn't magic. It was memory. They had fought. They had failed. And in their final moments, they had left their knowledge behind, not for the strongest species to find, but for the wisest. Jonah wasn't being given control. He was being offered a choice. Behind him, Rhea called out. Her voice sounded far away. "Jonah? Something's happening up there. You need to see this." The light faded. Jonah blinked. His hand dropped from the sphere. He gasped like he'd been holding his breath for minutes. Sweat ran down his neck. The room had changed. Or maybe he had. On the far wall, a new doorway had opened. Bright lines of blue light stretched down a hallway that hadn't been there before. And outside, the ground trembled. Malik's voice came through the comm. Jonah! The second fleet, whoever they are, they've locked weapons. We've got less than 60 seconds before they fire on your position. Jonah turned to Rhea. We go forward, he said. You sure? Nope, Jonah said. But I think the tower wants us to. They ran. Down the hall. Through another chamber. Up a spiral ramp made of floating stairs. At the top, they entered a new room. Circular, with a central pillar covered in symbols. Jonah walked toward it. This is it, he said. This is the command center. Command of what? Rhea asked. Jonah didn't answer. He placed his hand on the pillar. At once, the sky above the tower lit up. The structure rose higher, lifting the landing pad and all of them into the air. Panels unfolded from its sides. Long, sleek arrays of unknown material extended toward the stars. They shimmered, almost invisible, bending the light around them. And then a pulse. Not like the first one. This one didn't travel. Covered. Like a blanket of light wrapping the entire system. Back on the Odyssey, alarms stopped. Malik looked up from the console. Commander. The screens had gone blank, then returned, showing all enemy ships frozen again. Both fleets. Hundreds of vessels. Powered, but locked. No fire. No motion. What just happened? Malik asked no one in particular. Inside the tower, Jonah watched the holographic display light up with dozens of star systems, highlighted in gold. I didn't disable their weapons, Jonah said. The tower did. It's activated some kind of peace zone, defensive field. Can we keep it that way? Rhea asked. The sphere's voice returned calm, but heavy. This zone will remain protected until the choice is made. The galaxy stands on the edge of collapse. You must decide, Jonah Ryland. Decide what? Whether to take this power for your people alone, or to share it with all. Jonah went silent. Rhea watched him carefully. You already know what happens if we keep it, don't you? Jonah nodded. Every fleet in the galaxy will come for us. And if we use these systems to fight, we'll win. But they'll never stop fearing us. It'll be war after war. And if we share it, they might use it against each other. Or worse, against us. He looked back at the symbols. One blinked slowly. A hand-shaped symbol. The final choice. Commander Ryland. Came a voice over the comms. It was the alien fleet commander. The second fleet. You have activated forbidden systems. Surrender control or we will destroy the tower. Jonah closed his eyes. Then he pressed his hand against the symbol. A final pulse surged from the tower, this one brighter than all the rest. Not a weapon. A message. It reached every ship in orbit. Every fleet in range. And beyond. Jonah's voice echoed through the stars, translated into every language. This is not a weapon. This is an offer. The galaxy is standing on the edge. But it doesn't have to fall. We choose peace. Will you? And then the tower went still again. Waiting for an answer. Silence followed. Not a word from the fleets above. No missiles. No plasma fire. No more threats. Just stillness. Jonah stood with his hand still on the glowing symbol. His heart pounded. He had made the choice. Now he had to wait and see what the galaxy would do with it. Did they hear you? Rhea asked quietly beside him. They heard me, Jonah said. The question is, will they believe me? The sky outside was lit with distant ship lights, like stars rearranged by angry hands. The two massive fleets, frozen in tension, hovered just above the planet. They were still locked by the tower's defense field, unable to fire or jump. Time felt stretched, like the universe itself was holding its breath. Then the comms crackled. A voice came through, low, rough, alien. This is High Commander Sylvek of the Orati Union. We acknowledge your transmission. You speak of peace. But peace is not built with ancient power. Peace is built with trust. Jonah stepped forward. Then start here. We're still alive. You're still alive. Nobody fired. That's already a better beginning than most wars get. Another voice broke in, colder, robotic. Executor 7 of the Threx Dominion. Your message was received. Trust must be earned. But you did not attack. That is noted. More voices followed. The screen on the wall inside the tower began to light up with icons. One for each responding ship. Blue for acceptance. Yellow for uncertain. Red for refusal. At first, only 2 icons turned blue. Then 5. Then 20. Across the fleet, commanders who had arrived ready to destroy now paused. They had expected fear, a fight, maybe even death. But instead, a human voice had offered them something they weren't ready for. A choice. More icons turned blue. Back on the Odyssey, Malik watched the signals coming in with wide eyes. They're agreeing, he whispered to himself. They're actually agreeing. A few red icons stayed. Not every species was convinced. Some still saw the tower as a weapon, the humans as a threat. But even they didn't fire. Not yet. Jonah turned back toward the glowing pillar in the center of the chamber. New symbols were appearing now. A map of the galaxy. Dots of light locations. Sites like this one, scattered across space. It's showing us everything, Rhea said. Every vault. Every tower. Every station the predecessors left behind. They didn't want one species to own this, Jonah said. They wanted us to protect it. All of us. Suddenly, the tower shook again. This time, it wasn't defense systems activating. It was something else. From deep space, a ripple spread, stronger than any signal they had sent. It came from outside the known galaxy. A pulse darker than anything they had seen before. Not light, not sound. Something older, heavier, angry. The lights dimmed. The tower flickered. What was that? Rhea asked. Malik's voice came through the comm. We picked it up too. Something just entered the edge of our galaxy. Multiple objects. Moving fast. We don't know what they are. Jonah stared at the new alert appearing on the wall. One word blinked in predecessor symbols. Incoming. Rhea swallowed. They're not from here, are they? No, Jonah said. They're not. The voice from the sphere returned. This time it sounded different. Not just calm. Worried. You have chosen peace. Now prove you can keep it. What comes cannot be stopped by one world. Or one species. Only unity stands a chance. Jonah looked at the star map again. Each tower lit up. Each one now reachable. Each one waiting. I think we've just become the messengers, he said. It's not about one fleet anymore. It's about the entire galaxy. Rhea nodded slowly. Then we better get moving. Outside, the fleets remained quiet. But the silence had changed. It wasn't the silence before a battle. It was the silence of waiting. Of thinking. And far beyond them, in the dark between galaxies, something huge had awakened. It was coming. Slowly. Relentlessly. Something the predecessors had feared. Something they had built all of this to delay. Now it was humanity's turn. Not to fight it alone. But to lead a galaxy that might finally be ready to fight together. The fleets began to move. Not toward each other. Not toward the tower. But away. From their battle lines. From their war stances. From the fight they had all expected. Ships peeled off slowly at first, then in groups. Blue and gold and steel vessels drifted into new formations, circling the planet, no longer enemies, just watchers. Jonah stood in the tower's command room, staring at the growing map on the wall. Every second, more lights were appearing, civilizations across the galaxy responding to the beacon he had activated. The message had reached them. Some were confused. Some were afraid. But many were listening. And the ones not listening, they would have to make a choice soon. The next threat wasn't waiting. From deep space, the strange ripple was growing stronger. It was not natural. Not mechanical. Not anything known. It didn't speak, didn't broadcast. It only moved and destroyed whatever lay in its path. Jonah knew now that the predecessors hadn't died out. They had been wiped out. And what had wiped them out was back. Sir, Malik said over the comm. We just got a visual. Long-range scope picked up something. Huge. Shape unknown. It's eating starlight. Jonah didn't answer right away. He felt it too. The tower's energy pulsed harder now. It wasn't just a control room, it was a warning system. And the galaxy had only days, maybe hours, before that warning became a scream. Behind him, Rhea spoke softly. "What do we do, Jonah?" He turned to her. "We finish what the predecessors started. We unite them. All of them. That's impossible. Not if we lead by example." Jonah stepped toward the central console again. Symbols blinked in front of him. Pathway lit up. From one tower to the next. Then another. Then hundreds. Gateways. Connections between the old structures. Still alive. Waiting to be reactivated. Waiting for people brave or desperate enough to believe in cooperation over control. Jonah pressed his hand to the panel. A low hum filled the room, then spread across the skies. Above the tower, a massive ring of light opened. An old transit system designed to move information, ships, and power across the galaxy in seconds. The first gate was active. "All ships," Jonah broadcast over the wideband. "This is Commander Ryland of the Earth vessel Odyssey. We're activating the network left by the predecessors. We're sending envoys to each known system with a tower. This is your invitation." He paused. "This isn't about humans. This isn't about Earth. This is about all of us." For a moment, only static answered. Then, "Commander, this is the Varani High Speaker. We will send an emissary." "Threx Dominion acknowledges," came another. "We request coordinates." One by one, the ships joined. Even the silent ones. Even the old enemies. By the time Jonah stepped outside the tower, dozens of small ships were already departing in different directions, carrying diplomats, scientists, and messages of peace, each heading to another ancient place, to light up another tower. Rhea stood beside him as he looked up. "They're listening," she said. "For now. And when the darkness arrives?" Jonah looked at the stars. "Then we stand together, or fall apart." The Odyssey hovered above, waiting. A beacon now, not a warship. A reminder of what one ship, one voice, could do. Malik's voice came softly. "Commander, there's one more thing. The data from the tower just decoded fully. There's a final line in the predecessor's log." "Read it," Jonah said. Malik hesitated, then spoke. "The last to fall will be the first to rise again. Choose not the strongest. Choose the one who speaks last, but listens first." Rhea's eyes widened. "They built this for someone like you," she whispered. Jonah shook his head. "They built it for anyone willing to listen." He turned one last time to the glowing doorway inside the tower. Soon it would close. Then others would need to be opened. The real mission was only beginning. The galaxy was waking up. It had been full of fear for too long. Now it had a choice. Follow the path of power, or the path of unity. As the first gate shimmered to life and the ships flew out to light the stars once more, Jonah Ryland stood at the heart of it all, not as a conqueror, but as a spark. And in the cold, distant dark beyond the edge of the galaxy, the ancient enemy stirred. This time, though, the galaxy wouldn't be waiting. It would be ready, and it would stand together.